Hi guys, and welcome to this video in Microsoft Flight Simulator. A lot of people have asked me how I create a scene of multiple aircraft within my videos using JoinFS. And to answer that question, I thought the quickest thing to do would be to do a little tutorial. So this is JoinFS, it's the latest version 3, and I'm going to click Simulator, which makes the connection between the application and the sim, which is a two-way connection for recording and playing back flights. The network connection, we've got a choice of either joining or creating. Joining is the function of JoinFS to allow group flights using a remote server. We've got Two-Tone Murphy's Flying Circus server listed there, and with the right credentials we could join that. And it allows group flight between different simulator platforms, so you could be on X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator or FSX, and if you were in the right place with your plane in your sim and join JoinFS and a remote server, you can see each other, which is a really wonderful setup and a useful function. But today we just want a local connection, and to do that we hit the create button, and we just got a connection, a local network with our PC and our application. So we'll press straight on with recording a flight, and how I like to set things up is obviously we need the recorder, and it's also helpful to view the aircraft that you've got within the sim. So within the sim we've got a live plane here, and it's the steerman. On the recorder it's quite straightforward. We've got a record, a play and a pause, a stop, and the magic button, the overdub. We can see the recorder's empty, showing zeros, so we're going to hit record, and we can see that the counter is moving forward. I think I've got control of the aircraft, so I'm going to taxi. I'm just going to do a short taxi to demonstrate how we overdub flights. And obviously this flight could be, you know, a full circuit and a landing, but that would take us a few minutes. So we'll just do a quick taxi and pull the steerman up to a stop there. So that was 35 seconds or so of flight. We'll just let it run on a little bit and stop. Now the next thing we're going to do is overdub the second flight, and to make sure that we don't get stuck with, you know, if we make a mess of that overdub we'd be starting from scratch. So it's always a good idea to save the recording. You can see from my folder here that you know, the strategy is to do flight number 1 and then add flights to it. So there's a bunch of MB339s there that are obviously flying in formation from Falcon. So let's name this flight, and we'll just call it Falcon Steerman, and we'll call it number 1. That way when we mess up with our second flight we can go back and load flight number 1 and try the overdub again. So I'm just going to move this plane now because we're still live, before we play back what we've just recorded, and one reason being that we can actually see the starting point of that flight. So if we just taxi around here roughly back to where the first flight started, and if we pull up here and just rotate around a little bit in the right direction, there we go. Now if we hit play now, we've got a flight in there, it's 41 seconds long, and we hit play, we should see the steerman appear, which we do. And we can see on the aircraft control panel that we've got a live plane and a recorded plane. The brackets R is the recording. We can pause that flight, we can play it from there, we can go backwards a bit and play from there, And what I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to stop the flight, and it disappears, the injection of that plane. Hit play and hit pause. And you can see we're just 3 seconds in. Then I'm just going to take my live aircraft and just get a little bit closer. And now I'm just going to stop that flight. The plane will disappear again, and I'm going to hit overdub, and that means it's going to play the recording and also record the live plane. So we're overdubbing now, and this is the second flight, so we'll have 2 planes. I'm waiting for him to start. I did leave it a few seconds at the beginning there. Try not to taxi too close. And we'll just pull up alongside that first flight, and we should have an overdub of 2 flights. Very close to him there, but never mind, get the gist. And then we'll stop that flight, stop that recording. And to follow the advice, we've just recorded something, so we'll save it, and we'll save it as Falcon Stearman 1, 2. So that's 2 flights. And what I'll do now, I'll just rotate round so that we can see what those 2 flights look like. And we'll hit play, and we can see we've got 2 recorded flights now, as well as the blue highlighted live plane, and we can see them both there, and they should come round to where this where we stopped. Should see that second plane actually drive into that stationary plane now, because that is where we ended up. There we go. So we're just looking at this from the perspective of the live plane, and obviously if we're doing a real flight, we could, I guess, chase the injected planes with the drone and try and shoot some video, but there is an option to enter the cockpit of a plane. So I'll show you that now, and I'm probably best just if you just watch what I'm doing on the JoinFS screen there. So we'll play the flight again, and we'll highlight that plane, that recorded plane, and we'll right click and enter the cockpit. Now we're in external view, so it's just spinning round, but we're now in that plane, and we can see that the plane on the runway has disappeared. Effectively, we're in a live aircraft being driven by JoinFS. You can see how that's going to be really useful for being in a flight. We can choose one of the aircrafts in the flight and be in the cockpit. And when we're in the cockpit, I'm just using the external view here, but you could use the drone view, you could use the cockpit view, and actually be in the plane that's been recorded. So that is a really useful facility to enter, to right click on that, make sure it's highlighted blue, the plane you want to go into, right click and enter cockpit, and the plane that you're in the sim in is then transposed to that plane. So you could even be in a Waco or something and transpose into a Stearman, because they have similar sort of flight characteristics, and the recorded flight would be projected as a different plane. So that's about it for JoinFS. Obviously, you know, you can do long flights, you could do other activity elsewhere on the runway, or you could, rather than just a formation, it could be a helicopter. You know, you can bring another model into the sim and record it alongside these flights. And I'll finish just by showing what that can look like when you've got multiple planes. So I'll just put that together now. Okay, enjoy. Bye.